the relationship that we're trying to help cultivate here is not only with others, but with ourselves, right? It's about this idea of being open, being whole, being able to move through the world as an open, whole, authentic person. So what does that look like? Well, we're discovering that we have neurons not only in our head, but in our hearts and in our guts, right? So we're starting to realize that we have all of this information that's happening. We have a lot of information happening in our heart. This is an organ that can sense, it can feel, it can learn, it can remember. And HeartMath is starting to measure the heart and what's happening with the heart, and finding that there's more communication that goes from the heart to the head than from the head to the heart. So at Roots and Wings, we're doing social and emotional learning for kids, teaching children how to know what's happening here, to self-regulate, to communicate. Something that is now becoming more common, and I believe in California, it's mandated, social and emotional learning. It wasn't mandated when we were growing up, right? The playground is where we learned our social and emotional skills and the social and emotional rules. So we have messages happening all throughout our bodies. We even have spindle cells that are 3 times the size of neuronal cells in our head that they've found throughout our body that attach faster than the neurons in our brain. So that intuition, that body sense that you get, it's actually information. We don't understand it immediately, but it's information that's coming from the body, from the heart. But we have to be connected to the body and the heart. And if we haven't been taught, if it hasn't been communicated, if we haven't been honored or seen for having all of this as valid, our feelings, right? We get cut off, and this information has nowhere to go. So a lot of the healing process is about learning to be in our bodies, learning to feel. So this weekend there was somebody who said you gotta feel to heal. You also have to heal to feel, right? So the nervous system, we're going to talk just a little bit about what happens with the nervous system. So most of the time we are in, well, when we're in a healthy, relaxed state, we're in our parasympathetic state. And that is the state of rest and repair. That is when our breathing and our heart rate, all of that is coherent and cohesive. It's all happening naturally, effortlessly, right? This is when the body is in rest and repair. And then we get activated and we start moving into fight or flight. So our sympathetic nervous system comes online, right? And then when that happens, sometimes we call this brain in the palm of the hand with kids. When we start to get activated, we can flip. So if this is the brain stem and this is our amygdala, which is the fight or flight, it's the primitive brain, the emotional brain. Normally, when we're in the parasympathetic state, our prefrontal cortex, our executive functioning is online. And when we're in a positive emotional state, our executive functioning is all working at its optimum level. When we move into the fight or flight response, things change. So our blood flow moves to our extremities and we prepare to fight or flee. Less blood, less activation occurs in the head. But if our activation goes high enough, we move into freeze. So this is something that my father called it mercy. So I grew up in the woods with a lot of animals, and I would watch animals, do things that were really hard for a child to watch. And my father would tell me, this is mercy. The animal doesn't feel anything, right? So if you think about an animal who's about to be lunch, gets in the jaws of another animal, for some reason that animal escapes, If it doesn't escape, it doesn't feel anything, right? This is dissociation. We're out, we exit, we leave, and we don't feel. It's a natural response. It's a beautiful response that we have. But how do we get out of that? Well, as humans, we actually don't really know what to do. We study animals. We say, what do animals do after they have been in this state of freeze? What do? Does anybody know what they do? They shake it off.